Yeah, welcome back to my class again today. Today we are going to look at format specifier, right? Okay. Now, I told you in the class of literal, I told you that a literal is more or less like energy in its free space where it doesn't have any form. But when it moves, that is data. When data moves into various realms, that is when it takes form and then can now be manipulated. But how does data go to these various realms, which is the realms of the data type? How does data move to that? There is a bridge, right? From the output stream or from the input stream, right? Into those various realms. That is actually what you call format specifier. We've been using them all along. But today I just want to specially treat that as a class and then explain in details to you what they really do. So, example of format specifier is this, right? That is one. Then we have this C. Then we have this S. Then we have this I, right? These are examples of format specifier. So they are like a bridge that directs data in its raw state, in its formless state, into the various realms so that they can take form and then we begin to manipulate them in their various realms. That is actually what this format specifier does. So I'm going to write a program now, and then I will introduce them in the program and explain to you how effective they are in your program. So now I will write something like this. I will say include stdio dot h, right? And then I will say int main. Then in this place, what I want to do now is I'm going to create a rem and I'm going to create a variable for that rem. That is, I'm going to create a data type and then I will declare a variable in that data type. Then I'm going to ask the user to input a value and then I will take that value and print it out on the screen. Now, I'm going to use this to demonstrate something. When you write a program, like what I'm going to write now, when you are asked to input a value and you press your keyboard, what is actually happening? Then how does that value become usable? That is what I'm going to summarize to you with this format specifier. So now I've written this, right? So I'm going to write something, I'm going to create a variable in a rem. So I will say int a, right? I've created a variable a here, and I have assigned that variable to the integer rem. So I've created a variable a in the integer rem, right? Now I'm going to say print f, enter a value for a, or let me call this h. So I've created a variable h. So enter a value for h, right? Then this, I'm going to bring this in, enter a value for age. So this will be printed out on the screen for you to see. Enter a value for age. Then it will move to a new line. That is why I'm putting this escape sequence. It will move to a new line for you to enter the value, right? Now, that value that you are going to enter from your keyboard will move into what? The standard input stream. That is where it's going to be. So this standard input output header is a library. So that contains the standard input stream and the standard output stream, right? So when you enter that value, it will go into that stream. And then there will be another function that will take the value out from that stream. So that function will be what? Scanf. Scanf. This scanf will be used to take a value out from that stream and then put it into this rem, which is what? The integer rem. So I will do this, and then that will be expecting age. So this will be printed out on the screen. Enter a value for age. Will be printed out on the screen. Then it will move to a new line. Then I will enter age. The moment I enter the value for age, this scanf will pick that value from that standard input stream, and then it will, sorry, it will move it to, the address of age. Now that address of age is in the integer rem. So this is telling me that I need that the address of age is in the integer rem. So when I pick that value, I have to go to the address of age because this age is in the integer rem. So this format specifier is telling me the rem that I have age. Age is the address name for the memory. That is the address name, age, for the memory. So the place where that age is going to be stored is here, but in the integer rem. So it will go there and store age. Then I will come here and I will say print f. Then I will print the value of age is, then I will put this here. Then I will do my format specifier like this. Then I will do this, comma. Okay, let me do. Then I will do comma, and I'll type age. Then I'll close this, then I'll end this. So printf, the value of age is, so this one is a literal value, a string literal that we printed out on the screen. The value of age is, then I will have this my colon. Then what is telling me is that I should go to the integer rem to get, because when it is stored in this place, it is stored as binary, which is what? 0 and 1. That is how it's going to be stored, as 0 and 1. So the processor, now that is going to interpret this from the memory, will have to go to the integer rem to get the key that will be used to interpret this 0 and 1. Right? That is what, so this age, go to the address where you have this age, the address named age. Go to that place and print out the value. But the value you are going to see is written in 0 and 1, which is in binary. Right? But the key to interpret it will be in the integer rem. So you go to that rem to get the interpretation for that 0 and 1, and then print it out on the screen. So if I come here and I do printf, then I do this, the value of age is, then I do percentage %C, then I close, then I put age. Then I will say return 0, and I'll close this, then I'll close this. Right? So this is my program. Now, when I execute this program, what will happen is it will create this variable in this rem, then it will print out, enter a value for age. So once it asks me to enter a value for age, I will enter 65. Right? Now, when I enter 65, scanf will take that 65 and put it in this address, which is the address of age in the integer rem, based on this format specifier. But it will store it as 0 and 1. Now, printf, the value of age is, it will go to this rem to get the key to interpret that age, and it will interpret it as what? Printing this out as 65. Now, you tell me, the value of this one will print out the value of age is But it's telling me to go to the character rem, right, to print out this H. So what will be the output? Now, this one is going to print out this 65 in the ASCII form, in the character mode. And the ASCII form for 65 is A. So this one will print out 65, while this one will print out A. Because it's going to this rem to get the key for this H. And that will be what? A. Then it will return back to the operating system that I've completely executed my code without any error. Right? So the format specifier is actually a bridge that enables this um, data that you have supplied, which is formless at the initial stage, to be sent into what? Into the various realms, which is what? Data types. So 65, when sent to the integer data realm, is 65. While when sent to the character data realm, is stored in ASCII format. And when printed out, we print out A. That is what is going to happen. So that is what I want to show you in this class. Format specifier, a bridge to the various realms that takes those data that you are sending in into the various realms for them to take form and allow for manipulation or for operators to work on them. So before entering those realms, it is formless. Energy is formless. It has no form. It's nothing, nothingness. But until it enters into the realm, it now takes form. And then you can now begin to work on it. So that's exactly what is happening in data. And what helps you to get to those realms are the format specifiers. So there are many format specifiers that you can look up on your own. So let's go to code block. Let me demonstrate this for you to see how this output and this output is going to come out. Okay, so this is our code blocks. Let's create a new project. Create new, double click on this, click on next, pick C, next, then type format specifier, right? And then next, finish. All right, double click. So I'm just going to, okay, I'm just going to remove this, right? And then I will remove this. So we just type everything afresh. Now I have my int main already. Then I'm going to declare a variable int h. That was what I did. So I declared a variable int h. Then I'll print out printf, which is a string literal. So I say enter value for h, right? And then I'll use my escape sequence n, and then I will terminate this, and then come here. I'll now receive it, scanf, will take out percentage %d, and then we'll come here and say supply address of h, right? Address of h, then we'll terminate it, and then I'll say printf, this one I will say the value of h is, then I'll put this here, and I'll use my percentage %d to collect it. Then I will come here and I will say go to h. Then I will terminate. So I will just copy this, and then I will paste it here, and I will change this one to C. Then I will say return 0, we terminate. All right, so this is our program. Now I have declared the variable h in the integer realm. So I'm going to print out, enter the value for h. Then I will supply that value and scanf will receive it and then store it in this address, the address of age. Then I will say printf, the value of age is, it will print out that value in integer. Then the value of age is also, it will print it out in what? In character, using the ASCII code. So that is what I want to do. So I'm just going to execute this. So I'm going to compile it and run it. So compile and run. See, it's printing out enter value for age. And then it came to a new line, right? So I'm just going to enter 65. Then I'll press enter on my keyboard. Enter. You see, it's printing out the value of age is 65. Okay, so let's go back there. In this place, I will put my escape sequence and so that it will come to a new line to print out this one. So I'm going to compile it again and run. So build and run. So I will enter 65 and then I'll press enter. You see, the first one printed out the value of age. Now this one printed out the value of age is 65 because it went to the integer rem to interpret that binary that is stored in the memory. So and is interpreting it as 65, which is what I entered. But I also ask you to go to the character rem, which is also part of the integer rem, a sub part of the integer rem, to interpret it. And it's going to save that one as ASCII. So interpreting 65 in ASCII will produce what? A, B, C, like that. So capital A is 65, right? So that is what is printing out. The value of age is A. That is the ASCII value in character format. So that is what is printing out. And then it's asking me to press any key to return. So it brings me back here. So that is what I want to show you in this class. So till we see in the next class. Bye-bye.